I'm surprised that I'm not booking a flight for a Cupertino event, in between now and February 2nd. I just assumed it, and it is unusual because Apple does not have new product lines very often. And I just thought, well, they tend to be a company of patterns, I often say. And I thought, well, look at what they did with Apple Watch. They announced the Apple Watch in September of 2014 at the iPhone event, and they had a whole big one more thing segment, and they showed it, and they said it's and we've got the sport model and the steel model and the gold model, and said it starts at $399, and everybody was left guessing what the stupid gold ones would cost. And then in, I don't know what month, but it was like March of 2015, they had a whole separate event to reintroduce it and say, and now this was the on-stage era, but it was another on-stage keynote, and they had new things. It wasn't that they redefined it since September, but they reiterated it and they had new demos. I thought we would see something like that, like maybe just a half, now that they do these pre-recorded sort of shows that are not really, the keynotes are all pre-recorded. I thought maybe like a half hour one just
Well, or
about this,
even that
but
would be the opportunity to be like, hey, here's how pick your partner. Look at this amazing app that in the last 6 months they put together.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought we'd see more, like something like that, and that was part of the reason for pre-announcing it. And instead, even the first party demos that they're showing, example videos and the stuff, it's all the same stuff they showed in June. There's like somebody's, of course somebody did it, but
There was
somebody,
one new clip of
yeah,
video. Yeah.
yeah, there was like one new clip of video. But otherwise no other features, no third party apps that I mean, they had like a list of some of the first third party apps that they know that are already coming out, Fantastical and Jira, and I forget who else is on the list. um I think that it's why is it sort of low key? I mean, that's how I would describe it, is very low key. And I don't think that it's the price per se. I know $3,500 is a lot for a consumer electronics device, but inflation adjusted, the original 1984 Mac was not inflation adjusted. It started at like $2,500, and inflation adjusted, that's like $6,000 or $7,000. So like a 1984 Mac in today's dollars was like $7,000. I mean, this is 3,500 is not unprecedented. And there's a lot more people who follow Apple and are interested in computers. Like 1984 was a time when there were an awful lot of people who even were gadget hounds and bought lots of expensive hi-fi stereo equipment and TVs and projectors and
But
stuff like that.
what I'm suggesting is that even Apple knows that there will be people that will line up to do a demo, but they're not going to be able to report to Wall Street that we've sold 100,000
Well,
units.
I think the problem is I honestly, I think the problem is supply constraints, and I haven't heard anything to dispute it. I don't go too far into the rumors, but the supply chain rumors tend to be the most accurate because some of the companies that Apple works with, they blab, and Apple's relying on these. They're more than 4K each, but two of these displays, one for each eye, made by Sony, and nobody else can make them. And by all reports, there's like a hard cap Sony's production of like, it's like 2 million a year at this point. So theoretically, the most of these things Apple could sell is 1 million, and it might be lower than that. And that's if it
But
doesn't matter what the price is. They can't sell more than 1 million of them
but
this
but
year,
but 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 Apple
and that's nothing for Apple.
and
So
Sony releases PlayStations that they can't sell because they have supply chain constraints. What I'm saying is, does Apple know strategically that we have to lowball this and low sort of sotto voce this because no one's going to pay 35 no
no,
one
they
I,
will. No, I'm
no.
telling you I think what's going to happen is this is going to come out on the pre-order start on January 19th, and people who are late to the pre-order on January 19th are already going to start getting shipping dates into March and April. And I think for the better half of 2024, I don't know if they'll be able to catch up by the holiday season, but I think for months through the first half of the year, I think this thing is going to be back ordered 12 weeks or maybe even more. Nobody's going to be able to get their hands on one. And I think Apple knows that. There's no way they can make more of them. They're not going to be able to meet demand. And so why get hundreds of millions or their billion user fan base, the sort of numbers who buy new AirPods or who buy new iPhones, why get them all excited to buy this thing that they're not even going to be able to get their hands on?
It seems so there's I could sort of completely buy that aspect of it in terms of access. The other thing